You're watching DCTV Denton Community Television.
And they tell me, follow your dreams. And they say, do what you want, and money will come.
Hi, how are you doing today? I'm Mike Miller, and welcome to The Other Side. Hope you're having a great day, and thanks a lot for watching. We really appreciate it. My guest today, Baylis Laramore, thank you for being here.
Well, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And so I saw you recently down at Port David's doing the open mic there.
Yeah, I've been doing that for, I guess, over 2 years.
Really?
Yeah, even before Troll, Mallow, Mr. Troll was was the MC. There was a young woman named Glitter Rose.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Who, she'd been doing it for several years, and I started when she was doing it, but she moved to Los Angeles to pursue her musical career.
Yeah. Well, Troll really does a good job. He's organized a lot of open mics and with his postings and all that. So.
Yeah, he has the, I guess, the communication skills to be an impresario, and just his colorful physical presence, and also his musical skills.
That's true. He's a very good player and singer. I enjoyed hearing him the other night. He's got a good sound. He's been around doing a lot of music. I think he's been in New York and around here too. But so how did you get started playing music?
Well, a long time ago, I guess I was about 13 or 14, I decided I was interested in the guitar, and I grew up in Southeast Texas. We moved around a lot, and by the time I was 12, my father, who was a geologist with what's now Exxon, got a transfer to Sydney, Australia. And so we were able to take these long vacations when we lived overseas, and it's like a 2-month trip on the way back to the United States. We went through Europe, and in Madrid, I got this little Spanish or classical guitar, which I still have. I can't play it anymore because there's a crack on the top, so it's retired. But got back to Australia and found a guitar teacher and had some lessons for a while, and just, you know, could strum and knew basic chords. And
what kind of music was popular down there then?
They had their own local bands, but they were also, they had all the music from England and the United States at the time. This would have been like the late 60s, early 70s, probably right around 1970. Beatles and Cream, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young.
Yeah, and a lot of those bands played down there, I guess, too. They toured there probably.
They did, yeah, and they had local TV music programs where they would show film clips, and of course the Rolling Stones. Trying to think who some of their bands were that became famous. Well, Rick Springfield, he's
from there, isn't he?
He's from there, and he was with I remember he was with a band called the Pink Zoot. It was like a metal band, and they did a metal version of Eleanor Rigby.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then years later, when I was grown, I'd hear his songs on the radio. Yeah,
and he became a star in that TV sitcom.
Yeah.
He was a doctor, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's right. He was a doctor. It was some soap opera, General Hospital, maybe.
Yeah.
I never really watched it, but I'd heard about him being on it.
Olivia Newton-John, wasn't she from down there?
Yeah, and of course, I remember hearing her music there, and then later on when I moved back to the United States,
It's when she had the big hit.
Yeah, she had, I think she covered that Bob Dylan song, If Not For You, and a bunch of other songs.
Really? And then she had that Let's Get Physical song that was got a lot of airplay.
Yeah, that was much later. That
Later,
was,
yeah.
in
Like
the 80s, I guess, or late 70s.
Disco-ish type song in a way.
Disco phase, yeah.
Yeah. So you were more influenced by rock than country, do you feel?
Early on, more rock. I mean, like Creedence Clearwater Revival. That's another. I heard their songs all the time in Australia.
Yeah.
But as I got older, I think I've had much more of a country and folk influence. I'd say as an adult, people like Jackson Browne and Steve Earle, Rodney Crowell, Guy Clark, and then going back to Crosby, Stills and Nash and James Taylor.
Yeah. Well, they're all great artists for sure.
Oh, yeah.
You, we were talking a while ago about some kind of guitars with some kind of wood you were talking about.
Oh, that's one of my electric guitars. That's an alt, and it has a spalted maple. It's an unusual grain. It has this sort of black, it's kind of a golden yellow color, but has this black grain running through it, as opposed to the quilted maple that you see on some electrics and like a lot of acoustics, like the Taylor 600 series.
Yeah. That's a really nice Taylor you brought here today.
Oh, thanks.
Look forward to hearing you play that.
Yeah, that one has rosewood on it.
What are some of the songs you're going to play today?
There are, I guess, several that I've written. There's one about the Wine and Music Festival, which is part of the Kerrville Folk Festival. I've gone down there a lot, and that's
Really?
influenced me a lot and gotten me, I guess, in my later years to try and write songs and to get myself to a place where I can play in public.
Yeah. Down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Down there. There's a song that I recently wrote, the latest song I wrote. It's based on a book by Woody Guthrie called House of Earth. There was a manuscript that he wrote in the 1940s, and it was lost until a couple of years ago.
Really?
And it was just recently turned into a book, but he was writing about sharecroppers, this married couple, a young married couple that lived in the Texas Panhandle in the 1930s, and the problems they faced with the big banks and the landowners, and their idea to build an adobe house to get them out of this old wooden shack that they had to live in. And it was just really interesting book, and I thought, well, this could be the basis for a song, so I'll try and write something.
You're going to do that today?
Yeah, I can do that one. There's a song I've written about coffee houses. It's kind of loosely based on Uncle Calvin's in Dallas.
Really?
Yeah, and just sort of about the tradition of the coffee houses going back to the 50s, I guess, up in Greenwich Village. The folk singers would play, and I guess the poets.
Well, it seems like back in the earlier 1900s, too, in France, that was popular.
Well, I hadn't thought about that, but I'm sure that there was a lot of that with Paris, with the culture there.
Yeah, and I think back in London, too, even back in the 1800s, that writers hung out in the coffee houses. Of course, I don't know, maybe it was pubs also.
Probably both, yeah.
Yeah. But, so stay tuned and check out some music by Baylis Laramore, and thank you very much for watching.
This first song I'd like to play is about the Wine and Music Festival in Kerrville, which is a smaller version of the Kerrville Folk Festival that goes on during the Labor Day weekend. I wrote this, I guess, maybe around 10 years ago, and they had just a beautiful night with the full moon, and some people like Shake Russell and Sarah Hickman were playing. So this is a song I wrote about it.
Festival of wine at the end of the day. Mahogany guitars and oak Cabernet. Silhouette hills backlit with moonlight. Surround songwriters singing there inside. When religious rite and urban blight infiltrate my mind, I hit 281, I leave Dallas behind. When the North Texas rat race starts to get old, I'll point this truck down Hill Country Road. Tie-dyed girl dancing with wine. She says it's totally orgasmic, man, so drink some of mine. The girl and her wine were spirits of this place. I went to the wine bar and charged a whole case. When religious rite and urban blight infiltrate my mind, I hit 281, I leave Dallas behind. When the North Texas rat race starts to get old, I'll point this truck down Hill Country Road. Now St. Genevieve's redemptive, Bell Mountain gets me high, and the Llano Estacado is pleasantly dry. Far from the stage, campfires on the land, where VW vans are welcome, conga drums their band. Years of singing, years of picking on this stage. Like some guitars and wines, they get better with age. Sarah was the last act. She cried at the end and said it will be a while before I play here again. When religious rite and urban blight infiltrate my mind, hit 281, I leave Dallas behind. When the North Texas rat race starts to get old, I'll point this truck down Hill Country Roads. Yeah, when this North Texas rat race messes with my mind, I open up a bottle of that orgasmic wine. The title on that one was Orgasmic Wine. Now, the reason I did that was at that festival I was in this area called the mosh pit where people dance, and I had an empty wine glass, and there was a girl in a tie-dyed dress with a glass of something, and it turned out to be port, and she goes, "Hey man, you ought to try some of this port. It's totally orgasmic, man." And she poured some in my glass, so that led to the concept for that song. Now this next one I'm doing, it's just a song I wrote about camping. I guess the sensuality of nature. It's called Earth and Sky. The autumn equinox is near, the moon is in your eyes. We drink wine beside the fire under pernicious skies. We come from the wasteland where we cannot see the stars. We trade the streams and forests for concrete, glass, and tar. The ancients studied heaven and made stories in the sky to understand the world and explain the reasons why. Lie down beside me while the river softly sighs, and we become part of earth and sky. Let's walk in the spirit land between white water and the stars, and bathe naked in the spring-fed pools and wash away our scars. Hold me in the water and fill my emptiness while I forget my memories and you draw me to your breast. The ancients studied heaven and made stories in the sky to understand their world and explain the reasons why. Lie down beside me while the river softly sighs, and we become part of earth and sky. At night we walk down the moonlit paths of the garden of the gods. By day we rest in meadows of birch and gold. Though we have to leave this place, I know we can return to places that are wild and free, where our passions burn. The ancients studied heaven and made stories in the sky to understand the world and explain the lie down beside me while the river softly sighs, and we become part of earth and sky. Okay. The next two songs that I'm doing, I guess they're about women in my past. This first one, it's called Land's End, and I guess it deals with a relationship I thought that would happen, but didn't last long. And then a trip to England a few months later, and I was thinking about this girl and mad at myself for thinking about her and trying to get her off my mind. So of course, my nose keeps itching when the camera goes on. So hopefully that'll stop. Let's see here. There was a woman that I loved in vain, and all the tequila in Texas couldn't ease the pain. I was young and foolish, I didn't understand. It soon became apparent that she had other plans. It was meant to happen, then it wasn't meant to be. All of my elation turned to misery. I couldn't stand to stay, and it was time to go. I took a plane to London from San Antonio. How far must I fly to forget her? How far must I fly to leave a memory behind? I'll go anywhere to find someone new again. I'll go all the way to Land's End. I set out for Land's End on the southwest British coast. I stood before Stonehenge with all its druid ghosts, and walked along the rows of the ancient Roman baths. Then I drove that rover down my chosen path. No, it's all my fault, yeah, I'm just wasting time, thinking of a woman 6,000 miles behind. I'll think of where I'm going instead of where I've been, and walk on the cliffs at Land's End. How far must I fly to forget her? How far must I fly to leave a memory behind? I'll go anywhere to find someone new again. I'll go all the way to Land's End. I get so tired of going out of my mind, but some of these British girls, they're looking really fine. The food could use Tabasco and the beer is kind of warm, but tonight I'll be in someone else's arms in Land's End. I got into Land's End just about sundown. I was drinking some Macallan inside the Stag and Crown. At a nearby table were two old British men, reminiscing World War II while they reeked of gin. Local girl sat down and liked the way I talked. A few more rounds of drinks, then we took a walk and gazed at the Atlantic southwest towards San Antone. At least for that night I wouldn't be alone. How far must I fly to forget her? How far must I fly to leave a memory behind? I'll go anywhere to find someone new again. I'll go all the way to Land's End. Land's End. Yeah, Land's End. This next song is called Weather Girl. It's about a girl I went out with in Austin a couple of years later. I met her at a car wash and was waiting on her car to get done, and she sat down a few feet away from me and just started up a conversation saying, "It sure is hot." And we started talking, and then she had to leave, but she left her phone number and said, "Call me." And so we went out a few nights later. I thought about it later, and I said, I should have told her she was like the weather girl. So here goes. I was waiting at the car wash and feeling kind of bored. She was in a red Monte Carlo. I had a dark blue Ford. She said it sure is warm, and I was liking her a lot. But the weather wasn't the only thing that was making me feel hot. Could have been her long blonde hair or her eyes so blue. She looked like the weather girl on the 7 o'clock news. She gave me her number and said, "I'll see you tomorrow night." And I watched that Monte Carlo's disappearing taillights. Hey, weather girl, tell me the temperature, please. Because every time we kiss, it feels like 1,000 degrees. Hey, weather girl, give me your forecast. Are we fair weather lovers, or will our passion last? Yeah, we had our drinks and dinner. She was dancing in my arms. Little did I know it was the calm before the storm. I never knew bad weather could make me feel so fine, but there was thunder and lightning when her nails dug in my spine. Yeah, she loved me like a tornado, loved it double wide, carried me up to heaven, threw me down to earth to die. Somewhere in the night, we both ran out of steam, and there were blondes in Monte Carlos driving through my dreams. Hey, weather girl, tell me the temperature, please. Because every time we kiss, it feels like 1,000 degrees. Hey, weather girl, give me your forecast. Are we fair weather lovers, or will our passion last? I woke up in the morning but everything seemed strange. Lying there beside her, I could feel the winds of change. Like a blast out of the Rockies, I felt that north wind blow. She looked at me with ice blue eyes and said, I gotta go. I was disappointed that it had to end so fast, but when I thought about it, just knew it couldn't last. But I'll always have those fond memories of the heat wave from back in '83. Hey, weather girl, tell me the temperature, please. 'Cause every time we kiss, it feels like 1,000 degrees. Hey, weather girl, give me your forecast. Are we fair weather lovers, or will our passion last?
Follow your dreams. And they say, do what you want, and money will come. Lots of people have lots of dreams. Lots of people, it seems, when they are young, they look to the sky. They work harder